Hi Ornament Girls and Guys, and welcome to your free Ornament Girl tutorial. My name is Kennedy, and in this video I'll be showing you how to create the Smitten Kitten ornament. This ornament comes together simply and it makes the perfect Valentine's Day gift for your cat-loving friends. Before we get started, make sure you check out the link below the video to download your free printable supply list so that you can gather all of the tools and materials needed to create this ornament. This ornament tutorial will be a little different than what we typically do because for the Smitten Kitten ornament, you can actually cover your heart-shaped foam in any ornament pattern. So on this kitten ornament here, I used the Trinity knot pattern to cover my heart-shaped foam. And then once your heart is covered with any ornament pattern, I'll use this tutorial to show you how to add the cat ears and the embellishments to get this adorable little cat face. The Trinity knot pattern is one of the premium paid patterns on the Ornament Girl website, so if you want to use this same pattern to cover your heart, be sure to check out the link below the video, or you could choose to use any other pattern designed for a heart to cover both sides of your foam. Let's go over the materials you'll need and then we can get started. In order to create the Smitten Kitten ornament, you will need a soft foam heart. Mine is marked according to the heart marking tutorial for the Trinity knot pattern. Satin straight pins. You'll need fabric in whatever cuts are needed according to the main pattern you're choosing to use to cover your foam. And then in addition to those fabric cuts, you'll need two 3x4" rectangles for the cat's ears and one 1.5 by 12.5 inch strip for the outer band. And then in addition to that, you'll need some embellishments for the eyes. These can either be googly eyes or you can use beads threaded onto pins. And then you'll want to gather up additional Valentine's themed embellishments. Whatever you have lying around, you'll be able to glue on or attach with pins to add all of those adorable little heart embellishments to your kitten. And then you'll also need to gather up your ornament making tools. Be sure to check out the free printable supply list linked below the video to help get all of the quantities and measurements for your materials, especially if you will also be using the Trinity knot heart pattern. Once all of your tools and materials are gathered, we can begin creating your Smitten Kitten ornament. The first thing you need to do is cover both sides of your heart-shaped foam in the ornament pattern of your choice. So like I mentioned, I'll be using the Trinity knot pattern, which can be purchased on the Ornament Girls website, but you can choose to use any ornament pattern that can be worked on a heart. You want to cover side 1 and side 2 of your foam, but do not add the band yet because after we add side 1 and side 2, I'll show you how to add the kitten's ears before we cover the edges with a band. So go ahead and take time now to cover side 1 and side 2 of your foam in an Ornament Girl pattern of your choice. Once you have side 1 and side 2 of your foam covered with a pattern of your choice, we're now going to go ahead and flip this around so that the point of the heart is at the top and we can add the kitten's ears. Using a 3x4" rectangle of fabric, hold this horizontally with the pattern side facing away from you and fold this top edge down to about the center of the piece and crease that fold. Now you're going to fold it in half crosswise like a book and just crease it right up here at the top to find the center point. Unfold, and now you're going to keep that center point in place as you create a narrow triangle. So you're going to, along that center crease, fold the left half down toward the right and the right half down toward the left, and now you have created a prism fold, and you can go ahead and crease those folds, and this is going to be the ear for the kitten. So over here, we're gonna start on the left side so that the open side of the triangle is on the left, and you wanna lay this down along the equator. So here's the left edge, I'm holding it just like how we folded it, and I'm laying it down with the point coming toward me along the equator line, about 3/8 of an inch down from the tip of the heart. And we can adjust this if you add the ears and then you're not really happy with how they look. So don't be too worried if you flip these up and then you aren't happy with them because we can always adjust them. But I'm just using that equator line on the heart where the two halves meet to create a straight line that will be the bottom of the ear. And we're going to fold the ear up like this, and when we do that, we want to make sure we aren't going to see any of these raw edges and pins. So when you place your pins, you want them to be far up enough onto this side of the heart that they're going to cover the other raw edges and pins when we flip the ear up. So once that is laid along the equator there, I'm just going to use 3 pins, and they're going to be on this side of the equator, so they're going to sit a little closer to me than my other pin line. And then you can flip the ear up and see that you've created a cute little triangle there that is going to be the kitten's ear. And like I said, when you flip that upward, you want to make sure you can't see any raw edges and pins here. If you do see some of those raw edges and pins, you want to move the pins on the ear closer toward the point so that everything's covered when you flip it up. And it might not stay up on its own, but once we get them both placed, I'll show you guys a little trick for keeping them standing up. Now we're going to go ahead and place the ear on the right side. So with another 3 by 4 inch rectangle, hold this with the pattern side facing away from you horizontally, and fold the top edge down to about the center of the piece and crease that fold. Fold it in half crosswise and crease just at the top edge to find the center. And now we're going to fold the right edge down first so that we keep our open edge on the other side. So keeping that crease as the top center point, fold the right side down to the left and the left side down to the right, creating that prism fold triangle and creasing those folds. And now we're just going to line it up on the other side of the point, and you want to make sure that they're going to be symmetrical. So I'm over here along the right edge, and when I pin it in place, I'm making sure those pins sit a little closer to me than the equator so that when I flip this back, there aren't any raw edges or pins showing there. If you flip both ears up and you're happy with the placement of them, you can trim off the extra fabric that's extending beyond the pins. So I'm just using my fabric scissors here to trim off that extra fabric. Now I'm going to show you a trick to help those ears stand up nice and pointy. And I'm actually going to trim off this little corner of fabric that I missed here. And what we're going to do is tuck a pin inside these open edges of the ears to help them stand up. So over here on the right edge, I'm tucking this pin in between the fabric layers. And when I catch the fabric at the base of the ear, I want to catch the back piece, not the front piece, because if you pin through the front piece of fabric, we'll be able to see it on the front of the ornament, and we don't want that. So I'm just standing the ear up here, tucking my pin in, and then at the base of the ear, I'm catching the back layer of fabric and not pushing my pin in all the way. You want to leave that pin standing up because that's what's going to keep the ear standing up as well. And if you even want to bend that pin back a little to position the ear, you can do that as well. And now you can see that ear is standing up all on its own. And if you don't like that this open ear shows the pin inside, all you need to do is add a little line of glue right here and glue that ear shut. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to wait on it to dry as I'm creating your tutorial, but once you're finished with your ornament, if you just want to hide that pin head, you just need to add a little touch of glue right there and shut that ear. Now we're going to do that same thing on the left ear. So I'm standing the ear up, tucking the pin into the open edge and catching the back layer of fabric right there at the base of it. And then you don't want to push your pin in all the way because keeping that pin standing up is what's going to keep the ear standing up as well. And I'm just going to bend that pin back a little. And when I'm finished with my ornament, I'll add some glue along that edge and glue that ear shut as well. Now that we've added the kitten's ears, we can add the band to cover the raw edges and pins. So using your 1.5 by 12.5 inch strip of fabric, you're going to fold this. First, hold it with the pattern side facing away from you, and then fold it in thirds lengthwise. You might not be able to fold the entire piece at once, and that is totally okay. You can just work with a few inches at a time. And then you're going to flip this over so that the long raw edge is facing away from you. And we're going to start our band at the bottom center of the ornament. So at the divot of the heart, I'm placing the short end of my band about 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch past the divot on the heart, covering the raw edges and pins along the equator, and then using 2 pins to hold that short end in place. And now, keeping the band folded in thirds, you're going to wrap it around the ornament. And when you go behind the ears, you just want to cover the raw edges and pins at the base of the ears as well. So that will also help push our ears forward a little bit, and it's going to cover all of the pins. So just keep folding your band in thirds, wrapping it all of the way around the ornament, and you want to pull it tight enough that it lays smooth, but not so tightly that you're distorting the pattern on the fabric. And once you've worked your way all the way around back to the bottom of the heart, you're going to use a couple of temporary pins to hold the band in place. So I'm only pushing these in about halfway before I get to the starting point of my band. So that holds it in place so that I can use my fingers to finish this off here without losing grip of my band. You're going to bring your band past the starting point and trim it so that there's only a 1/2 inch extending past the divot of the heart. So here's the divot. I'm coming over toward the end of the band by about 1/2 of an inch and trimming. And now you're going to fold that 1/2 inch underneath itself so that you have a short folded edge landing right at the divot, and that's going to help hide all of our raw edges and give us a nice finished band. Now, to pin this in place, you're going to tuck your pin under the top layer of the band and catch just the bottom layer right there at that fold you created. And when you push your pin in all the way, you can bring the top layer of fabric out and around to cover that pin head. And then we're going to do the same along the other edge of the band. So right there at the fold, I tucked my pin under the top layer, pushing into the bottom layer and then hiding it. And once the end is pinned in place, you can remove the temporary pins. Go ahead and adjust the ears if they got knocked out of place while you were adding that band, and you can adjust that center pin on the inside if you need to as well. And now that all of the fabric pieces are added, we just need to embellish our ornament to make it look like a little kitty cat face. And this is where all of your different Valentine's embellishments come into play. So this is where you can get really creative, and you don't have to stick to just one idea of what you want your cat to look like. You can try out different embellishments and different ideas here. My hearts here are sticky, but if yours aren't sticky on the back, you can glue them. But if you add something and you don't like it, all you have to do is take it off and try something else for creating your little kitten. So I'm gonna try my googly eyes here. These are sticky on the back as well. But if I add googly eyes and then I decide I'd rather have those beaded eyes, that's fine too. So you can just take some time to go ahead and add lots of sparkly little embellishments, heart-shaped embellishments to make this look like a cute little kitten. On my silver kitten, I put hearts on each ear, and then I hot glued little tiny clay hearts to the sides to add little spots where whiskers would be. I think I'm going to switch out my googly eyes for some beaded eyes. I just think they end up looking cuter on the kittens. So I'm going to thread some black pins with black beads and use those to create the eyes. And like I said, you can play around with this and use any embellishment ideas that you have. Go ahead and take a few minutes to try out some different embellishments to create your adorable little Smitten kitten face on your heart-shaped ornament. Once you've added all of your embellishments and you've glued the edges of the ears shut if you chose to, your Smitten kitten ornament is complete. I hope you really enjoyed these tips for turning any heart-shaped ornament into an adorable kitty cat Valentine's Day decoration, and I can't wait to see all of the Smitten kittens that you come up with. Make sure to subscribe to the Ornament Girl on YouTube for more free ornament tutorials just like this one. Thanks so much for watching and happy ornamenting!